Erwin Rommel was widely admired for his bold, hands-on leadership. Unlike many of his contemporaries, he often led from the front, exposing himself to danger and inspiring his men by example. During the North African campaign of World War II, his daring maneuvers earned him the nickname the Desert Fox. He was respected not only by his own troops, but also by some Allied soldiers. British officers referred to him as a worthy adversary, and later narratives cast him as a good German, a phrase that gained traction more in the post-war years than during active combat. Before we begin, we want to mention that everything in this video is based on our in-depth research from trusted sources. We've made every effort to ensure that our facts, from dates and names to key events, are as accurate as possible. However, if you notice any mistakes or have additional insights, please let us know in the comments so we can update our findings. Rommel became known for the comparatively humane treatment of prisoners of war under his command, a policy that stood in contrast to the brutality often associated with Nazi forces. Reports from captured Allied soldiers noted that Rommel's troops generally followed the Geneva Conventions, and some prisoners even recalled being saluted by German officers. While not proof of resistance, these gestures contributed to Rommel's unique reputation. While some in the German High Command criticized his aggressive, risk-prone strategies, Rommel was idolized by his soldiers. One young officer later recalled that many in their unit were just 21 years old, drawn not only by the prospect of glory, but by romanticized visions of palm trees, sea breezes, and the wide-open desert of North Africa. Rommel was born on November 15, 1891, in Heidenheim, near Ulm, in the Kingdom of Württemberg, then part of the German Empire. He was the third of 5 children. At 18, he joined the infantry and later attended officer school, where he met his future wife, Lucy. During World War I, he distinguished himself with bold surprise attacks, most famously at the Battle of Caporetto in 1917. There, with just a few hundred men, Rommel captured thousands of Italian troops using speed, deception, and tactical brilliance, an experience he would later document in his influential military book, Infantry Attacks. After the war, Rommel remained in the army and gradually rose through the ranks. In 1937, he published Infantry Attacks, which caught the attention of Adolf Hitler. Impressed by Rommel's ideas and charisma, Hitler appointed him to train the Hitler Youth, though Rommel was never a member of the Nazi Party. Despite his personal discomfort with political indoctrination, Rommel accepted the assignment, likely out of loyalty to the military rather than to the regime itself. Rommel's lack of formal experience with tanks didn't prevent Hitler from granting him command of the 7th Panzer Division. During the 1940 invasion of France, Rommel's division advanced so rapidly it was dubbed the Ghost Division. He led his troops across the Meuse River under heavy fire, using unorthodox tactics to outmaneuver the more heavily armored French forces. Rather than frontal assaults, Rommel often exploited weak flanks or targeted the enemy during resupply and rest. His division played a key role in bypassing the heavily fortified Maginot Line, causing widespread confusion among the Allies. In early 1941, Rommel was promoted and sent to North Africa to support faltering Italian forces. His initial offensives pushed British troops back across Libya and toward Egypt. However, his long supply lines, vulnerable to British interception and air raids, eventually hampered German progress. The siege of Tobruk became a prolonged campaign, and despite multiple assaults, the city held for months. Rommel's counter-offensive in early 1942 led to the fall of Tobruk in June, a major Axis victory, and his forces reached within striking distance of Alexandria. Despite these triumphs, the tide was turning. A key and often overlooked factor in Rommel's eventual defeat was Allied code-breaking efforts. British and American intelligence, particularly through the Ultra Project, had cracked German communications encrypted by the Enigma machine. This gave Allied commanders access to Rommel's logistical plans and helped them anticipate his movements, nullifying much of his tactical ingenuity. In October 1942, while Rommel was on sick leave, the British launched a massive offensive at El Alamein. Hitler ordered him to hold the line at all costs, but recognizing the futility of the order, Rommel made the critical decision to retreat, his first open act of disobedience toward Hitler. By March 1943, Rommel was withdrawn from Africa and reassigned to Europe. After Mussolini's fall, he briefly oversaw German forces in northern Italy before being sent to France to prepare for the Allied invasion. Appalled by the inadequate defences of the Atlantic Wall, Rommel worked tirelessly to improve them, constructing bunkers, laying mines, and reinforcing beach obstacles. He argued that the Allies had to be stopped at the beaches, but the German High Command disagreed. Hitler insisted on holding armoured reserves inland, fatally delaying the response on D-Day. On June 6, 1944, Rommel was in Germany celebrating his wife's birthday. By the time he returned to Normandy, the Allies had already established a secure beachhead. By mid-1944, Rommel had grown disillusioned with the war and Hitler. Though not directly involved in the July 20th plot to assassinate Hitler, Rommel was sympathetic to the idea of negotiating peace. Some conspirators hoped he would lead a post-Hitler government. His name, however, appeared in Gestapo investigations, and Hitler saw him as a potential threat. On July 17th, Rommel was seriously injured when Allied aircraft strafed his car. As Rommel recovered, the SS presented him with an ultimatum: face trial for treason, or take his own life to protect his family and reputation. On October 14, 1944, Rommel ingested poison and died at age 52. The Nazi regime announced that he had died from war wounds and held a grand funeral in his honor. In the years following the war, Rommel's image was mythologized by both Allied and German narratives. In West Germany, he became central to the myth of the clean Wehrmacht, a controversial idea that sought to distance the regular army from Nazi atrocities. While Rommel was not involved in war crimes, historians caution against oversimplifying his legacy. He was a brilliant tactician and a principled officer in many respects, but he also served a brutal regime and benefited from its propaganda. Today, Erwin Rommel remains one of the most studied and debated military figures of World War II. His story reflects the moral complexities faced by soldiers caught in the machinery of a totalitarian state. Though admired for his tactical genius and personal courage, Rommel's legacy serves as a reminder that even honorable men can be shaped and compromised by the forces around them. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and click the bell icon for updates.